My name is Earl Thomas. I'm a book in a human library, and the title of my book is called Barber More Than You Think. I'm going to talk a little bit about, what got me into barbering, what got me in the field of cosmetology, and my experiences throughout my career. Oh my gosh. So, barbering as a child, my mom used to actually cut my hair. That's what got me started into cutting hair because every time that she used to cut my hair, it always was a bad haircut. So what I ended up doing was trying to cut my own hair. I probably was about like 10 years old at that time. And I ended up messing up my own haircut. But I felt a little bit better about it because at least I know it was my work. So I just kept at it. And throughout, I'm gonna say junior high school and high school, I started like cutting my brother's hair. I have two younger brothers, so I was cutting their hair. I was cutting some of my friends' hair. And then, I started to perfect my craft. Uh, it wasn't until probably, I'm gonna say after high school that I decided to take barbering a little bit more seriously, and I just stuck with it. It wasn't, so I graduated high school in 2000, and I didn't start going to barber school until 2009. So, and the funny thing was it wasn't even barbering school, it was cosmetology school. And I remember the first day of school doing a roller set. And I was like, this is not barbering at all. And I didn't want to be a part of cosmetology. I just wanted to be a licensed barber. The admissions office actually talked me into coming to cosmetology school. So I just said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. Why not? While I was there, like, I think two or three other barbers dropped out because it wasn't their thing. So that's not what they were looking for. I mean, same thing with me, but I just decided to stick with it just to see what I can, make happen with it. And come to find out, I was waxing, I was doing nails, I was doing makeup, I was doing perm with perm rods, just about everything you could think of. And it wasn't something that I actually thought that I would be doing or even enjoy doing, but I love it. I do. The course of the cosmetology school was took me about 10 months. 10 months to complete. And then shortly after, I applied for my state license because you have to have the certification before you could apply for the license. I applied for the state license and got it the first try. Yeah, so I actually did go back to barbering, but I like trickled into the world of makeup somehow. So I applied for Sephora because I had gotten my license in 2011. In 2012, towards the end of 2012, I applied for Sephora just to learn a little bit more about makeup and skincare because, I learned it in cosmetology school. So it was something that I just wanted to, explore a little bit more. And they hired me and it was on from there. Like I learned, Sephora had like a really good, a diverse, like kind of like an education system. But they called it encores, and that's basically like classes that teach you more about makeup, hair, skincare, stuff like that. So I took each class and ended up excelling in each one, and it ended up getting me like further in the makeup business. I ended up being a area manager for another company named Blue Mercury. That's what kind of got me here. So I was at Sephora for about 2.5 years. I left for this job at Blue Mercury. When I left Sephora, I was a facilitator. Basically, what that means is that I was doing educational classes on makeup routines and skincare routines before the store opened. But I found a better opportunity with Blue Mercury and decided to go with them. So I left Sephora and I was with Blue Mercury for about 7 years before exiting that cosmetic world. Now I just have the skill set, but I apply it on my own clients that I meet or referrals that I get. So I'll apply my skill set there. But that's just about it though. Yes. So I returned to well, first, it's a funny story. I ended up working at a jazz lounge in Springfield, Mass. And then I realized like doing the overnight thing wasn't really for me. Like I used to get home like 4:30 in the morning, and then I had to be to work early in the day. So I just went back to the field of cosmetology. At that time, I was working about like 4 jobs at one time, and two of them was in a salon. And then I just needed something just was like a one type of job. I didn't need to be going everywhere. So I applied for a barbering job here in Connecticut and actually got that. And I started working about 6 days a week with that job because I actually liked it. And the money was really good. The people were friendly. I haven't had any issues or anything like that, mainly. So yeah, I just stuck with it. A total of 26 years, but professionally about 15 years. Professionally, meaning with a license. Barbering also, like when you're behind a chair, you actually get a chance to indulge in people's lifestyles. You kind of become like a therapist or just someone that they could open up and talk to. There's plenty of times that I've sat what I would think is an introvert in my chair, and about time they're out, they actually opened up about why they're the way they are. And sometimes I feel like people just need those outlets. And you may not always find it in therapy. You may not always find it in schools or around family or friends. Sometimes it's with your barber or hairstylist. Yeah, there's this one client who was dating this young lady, and he always was seeking out his Kerry Washington. And although he used to always talk to me about her, although he didn't feel like she was Kerry Washington, she was his Kerry Washington. And they've been together, I don't even know how many years, but I know they have probably double-digit years by now. And two children. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the next one either is born already or will be born, and it's a boy. So they have two boys, and they've been together since, happily married. He actually, and his funny story is that he did ask me to be part of his wedding too, one of his groomsmen. So I thought that was actually pretty cool because I no client ever asked me that before. So we had a pretty good relationship. So because she wasn't his Kerry Washington, he was, just thinking about maybe I should keep my options open. And when him and I used to sit in the chair and we talked about it, I always told him like, that's your Kerry Washington. Like that is who she is. It may not be the look that you wanted. It may not be the height that you needed, but it's all yours. So why don't you stick with it? And he did. He did. And they've been together for quite some time. So yeah. The most unusual, see, because I know my talents, right? Because I've been trained well. So I think the most unusual thing I've ever experienced was when someone told me, "You're gonna cut my hair." Now, this person was a white man, and I guess he was looking at me as though like maybe I don't know how to cut his type of hair. But in the field of cosmetology, you learn that hair is hair. So you can basically cut anyone's hair. It's just a matter of applying your skill set and staying active in your industry. That's all. There's not one person I think living or dead in some case that I can't cut or service. And I just think that was like a very weird question in the moment because I've been to many salons and barbershops and even worked for myself where I cut. So it just caught me off guard to hear that. But that was me working in a predominantly white town. So I've never really been in a predominantly white town cutting hair. So it was an eye opener, I guess, that way. I mean, the relationship between him and I actually went well. He's an older white man, but he kept coming back to me. I did his whole haircut with shears or scissors, as some may know. And I only used my trimmer like only to clean up his neckline and raise his neckline, and that was it. And he was impressed. He told me, he said, I'm impressed. And he told me he'll be back. So sometimes you gotta use your skill set to win them over. Yeah, so just with haircuts alone, you can do razor cuts with men who have longer hair or women who have longer hair and they just want a razor cut. It leaves the hair a little bit more like wispy and shaggy. You could do a blunt cut, which is like a 0 degree cut, which makes a little bit more weight on the hairline at the bottom. You can also, well, you can also thin that out too to release some of that weight. Now the kids are doing a style called a modern mullet, which I don't know where the trend actually came from, but everyone is doing it. Most of the soccer and hockey players are doing a modern mullet now. The modern mullet is a haircut where the sides are shaved down to the skin, faded up into a mullet, leaving a little bit on top or as much as they desire with more length in the back. That used to be just the mullet back in the days, and now it came back as the modern mullet. So it's always funny how these things come back, you know. But yeah, I could do that. Most of the typical conservative haircuts are like short on the sides with scissors on top. A little bit of length so that they can move it over to a side or style it. So that's mainly what a lot of people get when they come into the barbershop or when I service them. But then I also service women. So I have women who will do perm body waves or perm rods, relaxers, color treatments, ombres, root smudges or touch-ups, you know, you name it. You know, you could do, there's so much versatility when it comes down to different styles of hair, as well as how you want to cut it or color it. Yeah, so curly hair versus straight hair. Curly hair, I feel like it depends on the person's length of hair. You may have to just want to pick the hair out a little bit, like to make sure it's not tightly coiled, just so that way you could get like the perfect cut. Because sometimes with the coils or curly hair, they kind of overlap each other, and because of that, you won't see where your blend it needs to be. So you might want to like pick it out a little bit. Some cases you will wash the hair, blow dry it straight, and then you will cut it. It depends on how much hair they have. For example, an afro versus a Caesar cut, which is like a buzz cut all over. Two totally different ways of going about cutting their hair. And then you have straight hair. For example, like the short on the sides and the scissors on top. Cutting straight hair sometimes can be a little bit faster because it's a simple cut. It's a simple, easy cut, like a 2 or 3 on the sides, faded up, and then scissors on top. With curly hair, it may not be as easy, or it may not take it may not be that quick, mainly because sometimes with the coils, you'll get tripped up and you have to pick the hair out or comb it through or stuff like that. So it may take you a little longer to get to the end result. So 30 minutes versus 45 is really the difference there. But yeah, even down to like when you talk about curly hair, braiding curly hair, doing extensions on curly hair, usually takes a little bit longer if you're doing it on straight hair. You know, sometimes it's a little faster to put in like a little quick braid or a flat twist, or not a flat twist, a French braid, versus like doing extensions, you know, and filling in extensions and I guess like weaves and stuff like that, wigs, you know. So it varies in terms of like time, right? Because some styles you're a little bit faster with, and some styles take a little bit longer. So I think working with curlier hair tends to go a little bit more into your time, whereas you can do straighter hair a little faster. You could, like, for example, you could do a men's haircut that has straight hair in like 30 minutes. You could do women's hair in probably like 2 hours, maybe 3, depending upon what services she's getting. With curly hair, sometimes, like with the haircut, it could be 40, 45 minutes for men, and then for women, it could be anywhere from 1.5 hours to 4 or 5 hours, sometimes even 8, depending upon how long they want their braids or how skinny they want them to be. So I applied for a barbershop that's actually, it's a chain, and they have I think over 78 locations throughout the nation, kind of similar to like the Supercuts and the Great Clips. And I applied, and I just wanted to test it out. Just let me see what it's like, see how I like the environment, see how I like the culture of this chain, because I never worked in a chain before. And I did just Thursdays and Fridays. That's all I wanted to do, just Thursdays and Fridays. And Thursdays and Fridays, and then turn it into, all right, I'll pick up Saturdays and Sundays, but they didn't have it in Simsbury, they had it in Glastonbury. So that's how I ended up in Glastonbury. Then, I mean, the clientele started to pick up even more, and I became, like, I guess, popular or sought after. So I ended up picking up 2 extra days. So I ended up working Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in Glastonbury, and Saturday, Sundays, and Mondays in Simsbury. So I was only getting like just Tuesdays off. And those Tuesdays, some of those Tuesdays, I was going to New York to do my clients that I still had there. So yeah, it was kind of busy. Yes. So there's so much when it comes down to the black culture in barbershops versus the culture in white barbershops. Back in the day, the barbershop was about community. So that's where you would get all your news, who's doing what where, who to vote for. The politicians used to be able to sit in the barbershops and wait for their cuts while they're talking and speaking to why you should vote for them. So because of that, it was kind of the place to go. It was a hub. It was like the center of the community. I've noticed here in the white barbershops, the culture is kind of like get them in, get them out. Like you don't have time to chat that much. You get 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes per client. Whereas in the black culture, you sat there, that was where you spent your day, really, because you're finding out information, you're watching sports, or you're just kicking it with the guys, or anything of that nature where it's brought a sense of community. So I just noticed that was kind of like a cultural shock or a little bit of a big difference, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I know. So when I get the guys in my chair, sometimes I start talking a little bit too much, or we start having these conversations, and I'm like, oh, but your time's is up. I'm sorry, I gotta wait for the next client. So yes, so that was a little bit of adjustment for me because I never really had to. I always took my time with my clients because I always had quality time with them. So I would give like a whole hour of time, but I would extend my day. So it would start at 8 o'clock in the morning to maybe 6, 7 at night. So I could get enough people in a day. But when you have the client for just 30 minutes, I mean, for me personally, one of my main things is like neither one of us need to be on our phone. That's my time, that's your time, and your time with me. So I don't allow you to be on your cell phone and all I got is 30 minutes. I need to consult with you. That's the first 2 to 4 minutes. I have to wash your hair. I have to make sure that I do a hot towel, do the lather on the neck with the razor shave. There's even if you're getting a beard trim or anything like that, I have to make sure I'm giving you your time. So I respectfully, and it's just for your sake, really. Just don't be on your phone. Give me your time, and I'll give you my time. So that's basically how I service the client. And to be honest, I've never gotten any fighting back about it or anything. Like if it's an emergency, you have to answer it, fine. But usually anybody that sat in my chair, they look at their phone and put their phone away if it rang or went off. Yeah, it's self-care, it's therapeutic. There's so much that goes into barbering that I think people don't really understand or maybe take for granted. Think about working all day from home, being behind the computer, or traveling all the time, doing sales or whatever your position might be. Usually you're spending yourself then through your work and your family. So where do you really have time for yourself? The barbershop, getting a fresh haircut, getting that hot towel, putting a lather on your neck, meeting your barber, talking to your barber. You haven't seen him in 4 or 5 weeks, those are your self-care times. And then you have time, if you're close with your barber, more than likely you're having conversations that you probably had down the road. Hey, how were you? Where was your vacation? How did that go? Oh, you had surgery. How did things work out? Short story today, just this morning, I reached out to one of my clients and just seeing how you doing from your surgery? I haven't seen you in a while. Told me to come over this morning for a haircut, so I went over there to cut his hair. And we had a nice little talk, and I met his stepdad, who just had surgery too. He had hip surgery. Yeah, so it's you just become a little bit more closer to your client and your barber, and it's a nice little marriage that goes on there. and you just both take it serious. Usually it turns out to a relationship, yeah. Something that you'll have probably for a long time. So, unfortunately, I don't go by the term of barber because I feel like barber has like a little bit of a stigma to it. So for women, when they hear the word barber, they're like they kind of fray away a little bit because they're like, I don't want to look like a man. They always think that every barber is going to cut their hair like a man. And in some cases, yes, that's what some barbers do. So I refer to myself as a stylist. It softens the hesitation a little bit, and it allows them to know that I have a range of my talent that I can perform on them. It's not necessarily like just this one style that I've always been doing for the last 30 years, and that's just what you're going to always get. So I like to deliver myself as a stylist to them more so than a barber. That way they know they're dealing with range. Yeah, I still go to New York probably like once a month. Like I told you on those Tuesdays, once a month to go do those clients. And usually it's about like 10 to maybe 15 people in a day. So I start at like 7 a.m. and sometimes I'm ending at like 8, 9. Yeah. And then gotta be to work the next day at 9 in the morning. So yeah, back here in Connecticut, yeah. I do. I mean, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. I've done the corporate world, the area manager position, and I don't really see myself wanting to run back to emails and typing and Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoints and managing people and writing people up and firing people and hiring people, looking to see if anybody want a job. Like I'm okay with just being on my feet 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever hours a day and meeting great people and sharing each other's stories with each other. Where we've been, what we do, who we are. Many of my clients that I've done in both towns probably are missing me right now. So if they wanted to reach out to me, they probably could reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram. And my handle is Sir Thomas Hair. So that's SirThomasHair. I think what I want, well, no, not I think, because I lived it. What I would like for people to do is be open-minded. Don't look at a person's color of their skin and judge them by thinking that they can't do your makeup or they can't do your hair or they can't perform a service. You come into them for a service. Give them a chance. That's why you do trials. That's why you do consultations. You can always break the ice a little bit in those segments so that way you can know or fill this person out to see if they have the skill set that you're looking for. I just feel like I didn't receive too much of that. It was a little bit judgmental because of my skin color, my complexion. It just made me feel like how, I guess I want to use the term dated, some mentalities can be. And, it's so much more out there that I think people could just open up to and see right before them, if they allow themselves to.